he didn't even realize how much what he just said impacted me. Because there's nothing I can do about my hair being curly. I can straighten it, but that doesn't change the fact that it's still curly. Like if I need to wash it, it's curly.
When I got that like big chop almost, I was terrified to go back to school. Internally, I'm like, there's no way that you could love me when I look like this. Like there's no way. If I don't feel beautiful and pretty.
Hello everyone and welcome to today's hair chat. As you can see, I am in a different environment than usual. I am fortunate enough to have access to a high quality studio, and so expect to see a few more episodes like this in the future where I will be interviewing some local guests where we can just talk about our different hair experiences. And today I'm excited to have 3 guests for this hair chat, so I will stop talking and actually let them introduce themselves real quick.
I'm Ainsley, I'm the oldest sister, and I'm 21.
I'm Annalise, and I'm 20.
I'm Alina and I'm 18.
Awesome. And so the way that this actually came about is that I work with their father, and he told me that you guys are all really passionate about hair and had done your own little like hair conversation, so I was like, perfect, I'm going to get them. Yeah, we're going to have an informal hair conversation. Obviously, we have very different hair types, but I think that these conversations that I've been having with people have showed me how many similarities that people have amongst their hair experience, regardless of how different it may be. And I think that is really fun to learn and just hear more about people's stories. So without further ado, I'd like to start off with, if you guys wouldn't mind, describing your hair, each of your hair, in regards to its texture, its density, its porosity. I know your dad said that they know like all the ABCs of like the hair chart. I was like, oh, okay, they're for real. Like they're not like average hair people. They're like, we know hair stuff. So I don't want to make any assumptions about your hair. So yeah, if you could tell me what your hair is like.
Okay, for me, I'm not like 100%. I think Annalise is probably the most well-versed when it comes to hair, but I think my hair texture is, I think it's like 4A, 4B, right? Kind of a combination of the two. Yeah. Because it's not super coily, but it's also not like as loose as Annalise's. Yeah, 4A. Yeah. Definitely low porosity hair. Like I even did the test where I like took a strand of my hair, put it in water, and it rose to the top. So definitely my cuticles, I guess that means, are really tight in my hair strands. So it's really hard to hydrate. Like sometimes my hair will literally be out of the shower, like drenched, wet, but it looks like dry. So it's definitely a little frustrating, but yeah.
I would say I'm 3C with like a little bit of 4A. 4A is typically like in the center of my head. That's like my problem area.
Yeah.
And I also have low porosity hair. I don't know if it's as low as yours, but it definitely takes a lot of water to hydrate my hair.
Yeah.
Like you would think the amount that I do in the shower, it would be like sopping wet, but then I need to just keep applying and applying more water. When I'm styling my hair, I use a full bottle of like hairspray water, like you know, like the spray bottle. Spray bottle filled with water. I use the whole thing every time I style my hair. So low porosity, 3C, 4A.
Okay, interesting.
It's funny because I feel like we're all very similar. Like mine, I would say, is also some 3C, some 4A. Definitely low porosity as well. I have that same thing going on.
Interesting. It's interesting because you guys described your hair as pretty much the same, but when I'm looking at your hair right now, they couldn't look any more different from each other. It's just interesting. You almost look like you have more of a, unless this is how you styled it, but you have like a spiral curl going on. Is that how it naturally is, or did you style it to be that way? So
it is a little tighter than what I have right now. I do have it in twist right now, but it's very similar. My natural curl is very similar. Once again, though, a little bit of different texture going on. So toward this area in my scalp, I have a little bit of even tighter curls. So that's why I find twists are so helpful sometimes, because you can style them and you can leave them as twists, or you can take them out if you want a little more body too, and then it lasts a couple days.
Wow, I would have never have known that you had twists in your hair right now.
Really?
Yeah, I thought that was just a curl, little ringlet. That's so because I have twists in my hair, but obviously our hair looks very different. So that's so interesting. Okay, and your hair currently is. Is this like a? She laughed. Is this like a wash and go? Is it like I put mousse in it and diffused it? How did you get the style that you have right now?
So I have a secret.
Okay.
I actually have extensions in.
Oh,
Yeah.
Annalise.
Yeah.
You never know though. You never know.
It's not a secret anymore.
I went online because I don't like my natural hair short, and I got it cut. Like I appreciate it on other people, but for some reason the way that I look with my natural hair short, I don't like it.
Okay.
So I got my hair cut like 2 months ago, and the way that it was, I have been styling my hair and doing a wash and go for like, I don't know, 8 months now. And my hair was like a little bit longer. Every time it would dry, it was like, it would go about here.
Yep.
And when I got it cut, and I styled it, and then it dried, I was like, this is not right. It was like falling here. I just didn't like it. So I went online and I purchased human hair, curly hair extensions. And now I've done a few wash and goes, and when I do my wash and goes, I do the clip-ins. So this is, I use 2 hair products. One's like a Miel something, and the other one is the Eco Styler gel. And so that's
fan
what I
favorite.
do. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. Okay, awesome. I would have never guessed you did extensions. So however you installed them, you did a really good job.
Thank you.
And last but not least, how would you say, is this like you wet your hair and then like sleek it back type of situation?
It's really bad. The thing is though, I said to myself, I need to start not doing this, because this is pretty much how I would do my hair ever since I pretty much straightened my hair like when I was, I think starting when I was 16, like constantly 16, all when I was 17, some when I was 18, and then I was like, all right, I'm gonna do my natural, but the only way I felt comfortable was like this. And then back in, I think it was October of 2023, I was like, all right, I need to like give my hairline a break. So I started doing, I would wear my hair out, kind of like Annalise. Didn't really love it, so then I went to half up, half down, kind of what Alina has. I've noticed, kind of unrelated, that it's been like affecting my skin a little bit. So I want to, you know, like it's rubbing against my cheeks. So now I'm back to this, but yeah, typically I'll just like, I'll either wet it with a spray bottle, or when I get out of the shower, I just kind of slick it back with gel. So that's what I've been doing now. But I'm like, at least I'm not putting heat on it. So yeah, right now this is my typical, like I'll just kind of pull it back every day.
But also sometimes braids. You'll sometimes do French braid, Dutch braid. Which is protective, and it'll also get the hair out of your face.
Exactly.
Look at you coming to her rescue.
Yeah.
Good sister right there. Okay, well that actually kind of builds into my next question. You talked about what you did growing up. How did you guys primarily wear your hair growing up? Is it very similar to how you're wearing your hair right now, or?
It's so funny because not at all.
Oh, really?
When we were younger, it was like young, we were like 4 or 5, like we didn't want our parents to touch our hair. Like there's so many videos and pictures where we used to call, we wanted our hair free, which just meant like out, like fully just like wild and like nothing in it.
And we of course don't remember saying this, but our parents would say, like, my mom just wanted to put like a little headband in, something a little clip. No, we want to be free. And so and that meant not even putting styler in it. So sometimes we wouldn't even let them put like a kinky curly hair product or anything. It was just like frizzy and out.
That's interesting. Okay, so as you guys grew, because you went to, well, now it's at the town in case people come and try to like find us and kill us and stalkers and crazy people out there. But you grew up, if I'm remembering correctly, you grew up in a predominantly all white town. Okay, I actually grew up in a town right next to your town.
Did you really?
I'll clip this out again so people don't come and find me, but
Get
literally get out. So very similar experience, because we always played each other in sports, so I know what the demographic looked like. So what was that like growing up for you in a predominantly all-white town? And something that we didn't mention is your guys' racial identity. Would you mind sharing that so that they can have some more context of that experience for you?
Our dad is Jamaican born, so we have that side to us, and then our mom born here, but she has some Russian, Lithuanian, Irish ancestry roots. So we're a mixture, and the way that I like to explain it to a lot of people, when a lot of people will refer to us as black, just because appearance wise we have a slightly more tanned complexion, so they'll often categorize us. So I like to explain it to them as, if you have the color red and you have the color blue and you combine that, you get a separate thing. You get purple. So you wouldn't refer to purple as red or blue. You would refer to it as purple. So we're our own kind of subcategory. But that's not to discredit either side. We love both sides, but we're our own thing. We shouldn't necessarily have to feel like we have to explain that all the time. But I do like, helping people understand.
Yeah, like
If you
it was
have
like we're biracial.
Right.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You can like say that we're not black. Kind of thing. Yeah.
So interesting, because one, I'm married to a white man, and so we've had this conversation before, and I like to make inappropriate jokes to him, just because it makes him uncomfortable and it makes me laugh. So one of the jokes we talk about is I joke that when we eventually have kids, I hope that they look very, very black so that they can think that he stole somebody, as opposed to it looking very white and me stealing someone. But that's something that we've talked about, is that racial identity, because yes, we live in America with the one drop rule where it's a strange concept to think that someone would just fully call my kid black, because it sounds like you're now ignoring half of their DNA.
Yeah.
But it would also be weird if you call them white, because like, hey, I'm right here too. So I totally get what you're saying with the purple, and that's a really great, like, basic child way of breaking it down to people. And it's just sad that you even have to do that. Like, you would think it'd be common sense, but it's not.
Right.
So growing up then in an all-white town, how did that impact your racial identity? Because I feel like racial identity is so connected to hair. It's like they're hand in hand.
Yeah.
So how did that feel?
I can say that I didn't really, well, I noticed it, but I didn't really ever feel a specific way, I would say, until I went to our high school. That's, for me, when it switched.
Same.
So growing up, it started to get more challenging to do our hair, because it got longer, it got thicker and coarser. And that's typically how, your hair is. It starts off as a little bit looser and finer and, less frizzy, and then it gets coarser, and that's what happened with our hair. So that portion it became more difficult to style it, but it never really impacted the way that I looked at my identity and viewed it. I never really saw it as a negative thing. I remember even I was in 3rd grade, and this kid in my class had described my hair as weird.
Wow.
And and it was like, I think it was in a pineapple or something. And I just went to the teacher and I said, this kid, let's call him Sam said my hair was weird. And it was kind of like and he's in the wrong. And that's it. That's kind of how I viewed it. It never really hurt me. And I think because I was protected and I didn't have this like kind of social awareness of like a beauty standard or any need to impress people. You're still kind of young and immature, and so if a kid had said that to me when I was in high school, it would be completely different. It wouldn't be the way that I viewed it when I was younger. So I think for me, unless, I'm not remembering everything entirely, growing up, I don't think it was, like early childhood, I don't think my hair really impacted the way that I felt about myself, like confidence-wise and feeling isolated, really.
And I also think that being non-only children, like we have each other, so we always saw each other's hair. We always saw someone who looked very similar to us. So we were experiencing it with each other. And then once again, that, for lack of a better word, naiveness, is that like to the beauty standards was also like shielding us almost. And then I'd say when we got to high school, because that high school was predominantly white, or for the individuals who weren't, they still had looser texture hair or straight hair. So very little people that we were sharing similarities with.
Very little.
In reference to our hair.
It's so interesting to me because of like I guess I would say like a scale, or how everything is relative. Because my family is originally from Ghana in West Africa. And when you go to Ghana, if you see anyone who is of your complexion, who's mixed, Ghanaians will call them white. The way that we would call mixed people black, they call anyone who doesn't look like pure African white. And it's just so funny because if you were to look at the hair scale, I would look at your hair and think like, oh, it's closer to white people hair. But white people would look at your hair and be like, this is weird. Like our words and how we describe things are all made up, and they're all in relation to what we've experienced. So it's just funny how fluid everything is. So in high school or in middle school, I know you guys have talked about straightening your hair. When did that begin?
It's so weird because even just kind of talking about like, elementary school, growing up, I guess just to add, kind of going back for a second, it kind of just felt almost, and I know this is very unique to maybe myself or us, but it almost felt kind of special to have the hair because everyone was so fascinated by it. And now I know, growing up, it maybe through, like, they had never really seen anyone like us. They didn't really know hair like ours, so they would always want to play with our hair and stuff like that, which, again, it never really bothered me because as a kid I didn't know, like, that they're unaware to, you know, that standard and, ooh, what is it? Like, that's fine. But I do think that translated, for me at least, into high school where, especially freshman year, I kind of got, like, that same, like, I hate kind of going there, but, like, that same attention even from, like, girls where, oh my gosh, you're so pretty, oh my gosh, your hair, like, all this stuff. And it's just so bizarre to me that I think as I was growing up still in high school and then becoming more aware of, like, the beauty standard, the kind of whiteness that's embedded in that, that then I think maybe sophomore year going into junior, it was like suddenly I was like, all right, it's time to straighten my hair. I just I don't even know what that, like, switch was for me, but it's like I suddenly wanted to blend in a little bit more versus standing out. And I think maybe around that age too, when you're kind of like going through puberty, becoming like more of a woman, if you want to say, I feel like I kind of got disconnected from my hair, and I felt like if I wanted to be seen as, like, pretty for myself, I needed to, like, distance myself a little bit from that. I'm not even really sure what, like, the root of that was, but yeah.
I was just gonna add quickly. I think part of it too. I don't know if you guys could relate to this, but for me, I think it was somewhat unconscious, just because I was always seeing other people with straight hair or looser textured hair.
Yeah.
So for me, it was just like another thing to fit in more.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Which is awful and really sad that I felt that way, but yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
I think it's really funny because I remember looking back at photos when I was, like, a senior in high school and looking back at photos from when I was a freshman in high school. I was like, oh my gosh, I used to wear my hair out to school. I used to wear my hair out to school my freshman year, and that was, like, foreign to me once I became a senior because of how far, like she's mentioned, the distancing. It literally became a cycle where I would straighten my hair, wear it out for as long as I could, a week and a half, whatever, and then sometimes even 2 weeks, and then wash it and go straight back to the salon. So I wasn't seeing my hair curly for more than, like, a few hours at a time. But I think I was pretty confident. Like, I would go to school with my hair out and my hair in pineapples and try all these different hairstyles, pull back, whatever. And that was my freshman year, and I remember I straightened my hair for homecoming my freshman year, and that was, like, the first taste. And some students, and while it was all kind and, nice, encouraging words, it was like, oh my gosh, your hair is so long, it's so pretty, you should wear it like that more. And that wasn't that triggering. It didn't really start anything for me, but then I, like, had straightened my hair once more that year, similar. And then becoming older, I think, and, like, trying to feel more, like, feminine, more like a woman as you're going through puberty, and also being surrounded by just majority straight hair. I started doing it more and feeling more feminine with my hair straight my sophomore year. And that definitely impacted, I think, the way that others interacted with me, simply because, I mean, one could argue that people found me more attractive with straight hair. You could argue that. But I think, too, what played into that is that I felt more confident and more feminine.
There we go.
So I really needed that particular energy. So I'm more comfortable, saying certain things or having this energy that may just be more alluring to other people compared to if I was a little bit more sheltered and not as confident with my curly hair.
That's so true.
And so it just became like I just always needed to have it either in flexi rods, so looser, less frizzy, or straightened.
So prior to you guys straightening your hair, were you receiving for the most part positive comments and interactions about your natural hair, even when I think you mentioned that people said that your hair looks so pretty and stuff like that. So you were still, so interesting that you were still receiving positive feedback about your natural state, but just the amount of imaging and subtle kind of like inception messaging, you still were like, no, I gotta be straight. Wow. It's fascinating because if you're receiving positive feedback about your natural state, imagine people who go through school who receive negative feedback, how much harder it's going to be for them now to be in love with their natural state.
Yeah.
It's just, I think we underestimate the power of messaging, and we think that if it's not like right in our face and it's not happening, and it's so slowly and it's so subtle and it's for so long, it's
So true.
fascinating. Wow. Okay. So as all of these things were happening and you guys were growing and you're going through your rebellious stages, what role did your parents play in how you viewed your hair, with how they cared for your hair after you passed your I just want my hair to be free stage?
Yeah.
How did they, what kinds of things did they say to you? How did they try to help? Your dad told me one story, but I want to wait to see what you guys say.
It's probably the story. I'm going to assume it's where the piano woman described your hair as crazy or wild or something.
What?
That one or no?
No, but I want to hear this one now. Where is this lady?
It was when we were like pretty young. I don't remember the age we were taking piano lessons. And
Like 6
I
or
was going to
7.
say her name, Miss Smith. You went to, because we would go to her house, I believe, to do the piano lessons. Yeah, and she had gone to the piano lesson with her hair out, and it wasn't styled, and so it was a little frizzier, maybe not like sitting or anything like that. And the piano teacher had said, "Oh, your hair is."
What, like so crazy?
Your hair is so crazy today, or your hair is so wild today. I forget which word it was, but I'm pretty sure my dad waited until after the lesson was done, and he pulled her aside and he said, we don't talk about our daughter's hair that way. Because obviously, if you think about it, her hair, as much as, yes, she could have manipulated a little bit more with product.
Sure.
Her hair, like, that's her hair.
Yeah.
That's just, like, that's her hair, just straight, no manipulation. That's her. And so, her saying that about Ainsley's hair.
I don't remember that because that would have messed me up.
Yeah, it's just like, like understandably, it may have been like a little bit, not as tame, but still commenting that is just, she didn't mean anything.
Right, it's just
crazy.
Yeah.
But it's just, so that's the story I've heard.
Interesting. Words are powerful, and I'm glad you said that, because sometimes I wonder if I'm being like too much of a word police, because whenever I hear the word frizzy, depending on how it's being used in the context, we use that word about our own hair usually in a negative context, or even like you said, wild or crazy or whatever, and it has such a negative meaning when we do it that way, and I don't understand why, because like you said, if that is her hair, natural, without any product, without any manipulation, why do we need to even describe it as like crazy or like, how is it crazy? Like, that's how it is. Right. Like, you're just saying that, like, she was designed with crazy hair. Like, it doesn't even make any logical sense. But we just use those words about ourselves and towards others, and then you end up being in this perpetual fight with your hair. Because if you think that, my hair is just being so frizzy today, well, it's going to be frizzy for the rest of your life. Right. If that is the perspective. So that means that every day when you wake up in the morning and you look at it, you're instantly starting off on, like, a negative mindset, because you have to, like, beat your hair into submission, as opposed to, that's why I love that your younger children selves said, I want my hair to be free. Like, children, I don't remember what the quote, but something about like wisdom out of the mouths of babes, like you were able to articulate something that was so profound that you probably didn't even realize how profound it was at such a young age, because you were just being your truest innocent selves. Like, I want to be free. Like, I don't want to worry about, I can't do this because it's going to frizz up and it's humid. And now you literally change your lifestyle to make sure that, oh God, heaven forbid, a stray hair will go in the wind and it's going to ruin everything. Like, it's exhausting. So no, he did not share that story with me, but that is good for him for telling that lady, because no, not my kid. But he talked about how he would be a bit aggressive with his brushing towards your hair.
We're not tender-headed.
No. Oh my God.
He said, make sure to really dig on them on that topic. I was like, okay, I will.
I think when we were growing up, I feel like you might take it into the context that it is bad, which some could argue that it is, but I just feel like, at least for me, unless I'm not remembering right, I feel like our hair wasn't really a conversation. It wasn't really acknowledged, but not in a bad way. I think it was just because our parents wanted us to know, like, that's who we are. It's not going to change. Like, you're beautiful. We don't really even need to have a conversation because what is there to discuss?
Yep.
So it was like, our hair is free. Or I remember, I think I was around maybe like 7 or 8, and I like started doing my own hair. Not really. I would just like put it in a ponytail, like pineapple. But yeah, it's like, I just feel like, yes, it may have hurt in places in the long run because we didn't maybe have that full connection, because when we were younger it wasn't, they weren't talking about our looks like ever, which again one could argue like okay, like you could have given them more validation, but I think that it did help though, at least in that stage of our life, because if our parents were kind of making more notes about our hair, I think that would have been more negative. But yeah, I think they played the role of just accepting who we are, which then I think helped us accept who we are. And it's like looking in the mirror when I was younger, I wasn't looking at my hair like I do now. I was just looking at myself. Like, that's who I am. Whatever, like I'm in my play clothes, I'm gonna go run outside with my sisters. Like it was just, I don't know, it was bliss when we were younger. But
I mean, just kind of going off of what you said, our parents would have us say like, it's important to remember, like, you're beautiful in here. Like, they say that a lot.
Beautiful in your heart.
And right? Yeah. Because, like, that is what, honestly, like, it all comes down to is, like, that's the most important thing. And being able to, like, accept yourself for who you are, disregarding your looks, disregarding the exterior. Because that's, in my opinion, the most important thing. But it's so difficult in society today, of course. But I'm glad that they instilled that in us, because although it was sometimes hard to remember along the way, it's definitely stayed with me.
For sure. Interesting. And I remember listening to your guys' conversation, you mentioned something about your mom wanting to make sure that, like, you guys always looked put together so that, like, no one could say anything, which I thought was so fascinating, because I would have never thought about anything from that perspective. Can you elaborate a bit more on, like, what you meant by that?
I would say maybe one part of it is because maybe she didn't quite want people to look at her as a mother who is not, I mean, maybe specifically a white mother who's not equipped enough to raise mixed children. If we are, showing up with stained, wrinkled clothes and our hair is
already out.
So there's, I think, that part of it. And two, because I think she was aware as well how, society perceives, I guess, just being mixed. And if our hair is not, styled, then it's messy, versus if a child with straight hair, if their hair wasn't styled, it would just be down. And it would just be cute, or maybe a little bit,
A little cute messy bun.
Yeah. Exactly. So obviously this is kind of how we feel, that we have to work harder than maybe somebody who's fully white. But almost that she needed to work harder than your average white mother with white children, just because of that position that she was in, that maybe she kind of always felt that she had to prove that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think a lot of times, I had a talk with another YouTuber, and she talked about this idea called collective consciousness. And she talked about how oftentimes in the Black community specifically, especially with all of the impacts of slavery, and how there were field slaves and house slaves, and how those types of feuds and tensions can still carry on years after, it separates us, where it's like, oh, you have it easy because you have these things that I think are closer to the beauty standard, so I'm going to just think that you and I have nothing in common and be in my own little corner here. And I think that I see a lot of that, especially when we're talking about mixed people versus non-mixed. There can be tensions there for all these different reasons. So that story, to hear about your mom, like, that is something that I would have never thought about. What is a challenge that a white mother could have with raising mixed children, because I'm sure there are lots of Black people who feel like I had to do things with my black children to make sure that society did not look at them a certain way.
Yes.
But a lot of times we would not take the time to think there are other people who look very different from you who could have that same experience. And
exactly.
when we talk about those similarities, we now have a collective consciousness where we can actually grow closer together by talking about our commonality. So that's why I thought that was so interesting, because I would have never have thought about that, because I don't have a white mother who has shared that with me. And I remember talking to your dad about how different would the experience have been if it had been changed, where your mother was black and your father was white. Because your dad being black, obviously, and a man, he's not as in tune with our hair stuff and those kinds of things. And he's just like, I was just trying to brush it and make it like, and I'm like, I get that. But it's a completely different, interaction, and so that's fascinating.
Oh, I actually wanted to quickly talk about the thing that you brought up about our dad.
Oh, the brushing
combing our hair.
Yeah.
Super quick. Is just that I think in the moment, I mean, it's funny to, look back on, laugh, because we would be in tears.
Oh, it was that bad.
It was painful.
It was painful.
It was painful.
Now, did he not know that it was?
Yeah, he
sounds like
knew.
my mom a little bit.
He
could hear it.
I think it was just a matter of, there's three daughters, right? If he's doing our hair before school, it needs to be done fast. So, you kind of have this, lack of patience and just suck it up, But I think, it's funny to look back on, and it's also interesting because you might assume that, somebody who's ignorant might think that it would be the white mother who doesn't know how to care for the hair, and then the father that's black should be more in tune or aware of how to deal with natural hair. That wasn't necessarily the case. Our mother was actually far gentler with combing our hair, and we always preferred when she would do it. The thing is that there's also another layer to that in how difficult it was for him to detangle our hair. One of the reasons was because he didn't do it very properly. He didn't add enough water. He didn't add enough. It was
just dry.
My God.
That's my horror.
Yes.
My worst nightmare.
So painful, but it also can make you feel like your hair is very difficult.
Yep.
And I've gone to salons where you just feel them tugging, and it's just, you feel reduced and embarrassed, and oh my gosh, it's so difficult for them to comb through my hair, and I just combed through it a couple days ago before this appointment. So, but then I've also gone to salons where they do it, and it's a breeze, and they just, it's just easy to go through because they know more how to, comb through and detangle your hair.
Yeah.
So I think too that if he was more aware of how to properly detangle our hair, it could have changed the way that we viewed our hair a little bit.
Absolutely.
Because it made me feel, at least at the time, that it was my hair is such a battle to detangle. So
No, it's so true. I hate all combs and brushes, and it's literally for that reason. I feel like oftentimes we almost grade hair based off of how easy it is to get through a comb or a brush, and it's like, maybe it's not the hair. Maybe it's this comb that is not alive, and we're expecting it to get through this person with 1A hair and this person with 3C hair with no, why are we doing this to ourselves? But that's why they're not allowed in my house. That's a whole other conversation. So going back to the straightening thing, so you talked about, what I find interesting is that you guys are sisters, and it sounds like you guys have had a similar experience. Did you find that you were going through the same points in your journey around the same time? Or was it this person's now on the other side of the rainbow and is now telling you, or how did that kind of go for you guys?
That's really interesting.
I feel like since we're so close in age, it was pretty similar, but I will say they started straightening their hair a little more frequently than I did because they were in high school and I was still in middle school.
Okay.
So I still was a little unaware, and I guess I just I think it was a little more diverse in the middle school, in my grade at least. I'm not gonna lie. I had a couple people around me who
and in your close friend group
as
well.
in my closer friend group who were darker complected than I was, but were also fairer skinned. I had another friend who her hair was actually almost identical to mine, so I didn't really feel like I had that pressure of straightening it as more frequent. Frequent. But then once I reached high school, it definitely picked up.
Do Do you think that if you guys were in a more diverse town, it would have impacted how you viewed your hair, or do you think that just the outside society imaging, it would still be kind of the same result?
I feel like it could have been the same. I think also thinking about the experience of high school, I just really closely associate that with social media because we like begged our parents. We like weren't allowed to have phones for kind of a while. Weren't allowed to have social media. I think it was when I was a freshman because I was like so torn because all these girls in my grade had Snapchat and they're going over each other's houses, and I just felt like I was kind of on the outside and not as like connected.
Yeah.
But I say that to say I think getting Instagram flooded with all of these fairer, straighter haired women, I think it could have helped maybe if it was more diverse for sure, but I still think there's that pressure, which I know that I think we've come a long way through recent years, but I still think there's this standard that's there in beauty and the way that you look that's embedded in, like I said, this like ideal of like whiteness. So I still think that at some level it maybe wouldn't have changed the outcome of like straightening and wanting to kind of blend in that sense. But maybe that's just me.
I think for me it would have been very different actually. I think social media plays a part in it, and I still think I would have been like insecure. Maybe I would have still been more inclined to straighten my hair. But I think I've become much more confident with my natural hair. So this is something I never would have done 2 years ago, even a year ago technically. But I just like sometimes still at the university I go to, I will have days where I'm just like, wow, I just walked back from class and straight hair. Not a single person with even hair like me.
Interesting.
And so I think that if I went to a school that was more diverse, I would just feel more comfortable. I think is even a better word than confident, because it's just being in class and looking around and literally not seeing a single person with hair that looks like mine. For me, if I was with people with tighter hair and hair that looked like mine, maybe a little bit looser than mine, and that was just more of the norm of what the classroom looked like, I think I would just feel far more comfortable. It would be very different.
Feel like you're torn in the middle now.
Yeah, because I mean, hearing different perspectives, like it makes me think even more about them. I mean, it's so hard to say. But I think also with my personality, like I still would sometimes let other people's opinions and perspectives impact my decisions, which I wish that wasn't the case, but I definitely would a lot in high school. But I think I probably would have straightened it less and had a little more confidence had there been that level or that increase of diversity in high school. Because I think in high school too, there's just also so much going on that you're getting so much other outside stress from. So like you have your schoolwork, you're thinking about going to university, and then you're also just like your body's still developing, your brain's still developing. I just think we're still very immature. And so having those other factors, then on top of that, your hair, I think it would have been really helpful, and I think it would have made a difference for me.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. I know for me, representation, I definitely think would have made a difference, but at the same time, thinking about what you said, I think about Africa, and my mom talked about, or told me how growing up, she grew up getting relaxers in her hair. And I'm like, even in the motherland, if even in Ghana, in Africa, where literally everybody on the block looks like you, if they're doing that in Africa, like where is their safety? It's so pervasive everywhere. So I'd like to think that it would change, but I could also see a possibility where it didn't, unfortunately. But yeah, I do believe that representation. I something I did a few years ago when I was like, all right, no more wigs, no more weaves, no more. I gotta change is I changed my social media algorithm where I stopped following all of my friends, and I only started following people who looked like they had hair like I did.
Okay.
And just being flooded with those images on a daily basis over time, you don't realize it's happening, but over time it's like, this is normal.
Yeah.
This looks good.
Yeah.
I'm now like okay with my hair because her hair also doesn't get wet when she applies like a bucket of water.
Yeah.
Like I totally hear that. Or like, oh, her hair also shrinks up to
Yeah.
a chia pet when she does
Yeah.
it. Like it makes it
Yeah.
feel like I'm not an alien.
Yep.
So I believe in representation, but I also, unfortunately, the impacts of our
Yeah.
imaging is it's strong.
Mm-hmm.
So with you guys, you mentioned that just a year ago maybe you wouldn't be wearing the hairstyles you're wearing right now.
Mm-hmm.
What has changed? What has been, I guess, the catalyst for each of you? Because none of you are wearing super straight hair right now. So clearly you have some acceptance with your hair. I mean, we're all, I think, always learning to continue to accept
Yes.
our hair daily.
Yeah.
But at what point did things change for you where you wanted to become more acquainted with your natural texture?
So I've been in a relationship for a little over 4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And for about the first year and a half, the guy that I'm with did not see the guy that I'm with. My boyfriend, I'm sorry.
That guy.
My boyfriend did not see my natural hair.
Mm.
Like, I kid you, like, not at all. Like, if I was in between, you know, when I washed my hair and I was about to go, and he would FaceTime, nope, like, so sorry, this is not gonna happen. Like, I literally was just like, there's no way that you're gonna find me attractive. Like, I was genuinely so scared.
Mm.
And it was in the summer, and we were in the pool, and I was like, I just gotta. So I waited when he was like underwater. I like dunked my head, and it was just like I think you had kind of witnessed it kind of because the way our house is, there's her window is like overlooking the patio, the pool area.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just like in that moment, I was like, I can't, like, this isn't me. Like, yes, like my straight hair is still part of me, and like, yes, I feel great, but I cannot. Like, I can't keep going without showing him who I really am.
Mm.
So I was just like, this is it. And he was just so accepting. And not that I, like, needed the validation, but it obviously made me still feel beautiful. And I was like, okay, so I can, like, really, like, embrace who I am.
Mm.
So really, ever since summer of 2021, I just was like, I'm not really going to be straightening my hair. I cut back. And for probably the past year and a half now, I've just like barely put heat on my hair, and it's just like I wish it was maybe something else and just something in me that said like enough is enough, but I still think it's nice that like I kind of had him to lean on, and he just made me feel like I don't need to hide who I am fully. So
He had the best reaction.
yeah. It was
really? So enthusiastic.
Yes, because I could hear it.
Yeah.
Like the second floor of my window. He was like, "Oh my god!"
He was like, I love it.
Yeah.
That's so great. I know you said you wish it was something like within yourself you could have, but what I just heard was it was you, because he didn't say, "Hey, go dunk your head on the water right now." Like something inside of you decided, like, we're gonna do it. And obviously we don't know, but I have a feeling that if he said like, ew, I hate it, I don't think you would have been like, okay, cool, I'll just keep straightening it. I think you made a decision at that point for whatever reason, so that's awesome. But good for him for having a good reaction. Smart man.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think mine was when I took a gap year before going to university. And so in my gap year, I was still straightening my hair, but I wasn't doing it as often because like I didn't have places to go. I had a rough year as well. But when it was maybe like around March, April of 2021, I was starting my first year as a freshman. Fall 2020. Wait, no. Sorry, did I say 2021? March, April of 2022, and I was starting my freshman year in fall of 2022.
Okay.
So this is like towards the end of my gap year. And I was just like, I can't go to the salon every 2 weeks when I'm in college. That's not practical. I don't have a car on campus. It's just like I'd be Ubering back and forth. That's just, and two, it doesn't make any sense. So I was like, I didn't know if I was going to be in, what do you call them, communal bathrooms? Yeah, communal bathrooms, because that wasn't an option for first year students to be in like a suite with like a shared bathroom. It was going to be communal. So I was like, oh my gosh, and then I'd have to be I needed to figure out something to do with my hair.
Mm-hmm.
And really, for me, it was going to college that made me transition to wearing my hair more natural. Because I just felt almost like forced.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I'm going to have to figure out like styles. And I took the summer and I did braids. And I started doing like different styles with my natural hair. And so I went into college. And I was a little bit excited too because it was like blank slate.
Yeah.
Like towards high school, if anybody had seen me, towards the end of high school, if anybody had seen me with my natural hair, that would have been crazy because they hadn't for such a long time.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, I can go into college and nobody will, have known what my hair
Like
looked
fresh
like straight.
start.
So it was a fresh start. So it was a little bit exciting to do that with my natural hair, but I kind of almost felt forced too. Like I needed to because I didn't really have like another option.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'd say for me, honestly, one of the biggest parts of me wearing it more natural was because I wanted to see a lot of growth, and obviously putting heat on it is a little detrimental.
Yeah.
So I wanted a little more length to my hair, and as we know, when you have curly hair, it's harder to see the length because
Trickery.
it's just
Yeah.
Preach.
So I was doing a lot more. I wasn't necessarily wearing it out, but I was doing more of this. I was doing twist outs all over my head. I was doing Dutch braids, single braids, that kind of thing. And then also like seeing my sisters wearing their hair out was really encouraging to me because they share something like that with me.
Yeah.
I felt more inclined, I felt comfortable to do so, and I just feel more free during the summertime as well. I think like when I'm like my skin feels more glowy, like I've got the vitamin D, and then it just feels like a little more like goddess like when you have like your natural hair.
Yeah.
And you're just feeling good already because like warm sun on your skin. I think summertime for some reason it just gives me so much more confidence, and then I was just experimenting with those hairstyles. And a lot of the time when you're doing activities during the summer, you're going to be maybe interacting with random people, but you'll never see those people again. So for me,
like
for some reason,
vacations and
that was like encouraging. So if I was going out to dinner and I had my hair all out and we had a server, I'm never going to see that server again. So even if that server was like, oh, her hair's out, I'm like, I don't care because I'm never seeing you again. That kind of was helpful too.
different than school when you see those people every day.
That's a good point. They're good to test it out of.
Yeah.
Interesting. When I first started wearing my natural hair out and I was like not ready to show the world, I would only go through the drive-thru at Burger King. That was my guy, the one who would give me like my Whopper Jr. and little Hershey pies. Like he's the only person who can see my hair, and like I would try to see from his eyes like if it looked crazy or not. And then afterwards, I'd be sitting in the car like, you're an insane person. Like you literally nobody cares. It's all in your head. You're crazy, but we make up these stories and we tell ourselves that. So in regards to the Black community, the white community, the interactions that you have, how do you think that your hair is perceived for the majority, if you had to take a guess?
I would say straight off the bat, for the white community, it's like, oh, your hair is like wild, it's like a lion's mane. It has so much body and volume, and maybe even they would describe it as like frizzy or poofy. That was always the word poofy.
Is that the trigger word?
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
But then again, like, we can't discredit those of the people on the white side that would be like, wow, your hair's gorgeous and so fascinating. Because there are those people too, for sure. And they're like so fascinating. And sometimes you get the people who are like, can I touch it? Or just start touching it. And sometimes you don't mind, but other times it's like,
I'm not a zoo animal.
Right. So, but there definitely are those people too that are a little more ignorant and would say those more negative things.
I think too, as much as of course there can be different hair textures, there could be somebody with looser hair than me who is darker skin than me. For I guess majority, if you were to take a statistic, let's say majority of people with darker skin here in the US will have tighter hair than me. So it's almost this funny thing where they might see my hair and think, oh, it's so loose and it's so defined. But then someone from the whiter community would look at my hair and be like, oh, it's so like, I don't even know what word they would use to describe it. But it's this fascinating like just so much hair, so curly, almost like frizzy even too.
Mm-hmm.
That there's just like that different way to look at it. That I might think like, oh my gosh, my hair is like it's frizzy and it's not defined today. But then somebody after getting a wash and go, let's say they're darker skin with, you know, coarser hair, they might look at my hair and be like, hey, really? Like, you think your hair looks frizzy right now? It's so crazy, the different perspectives.
Yeah. What would you say has been one of your lowest moments with your hair? One of those bad days. Just
Well,
not a good
for
day.
me, I don't know if this would be like, there might be a different example that's a little more rock bottom than this, but I know that there was one day I was in high school and my hair was straightened. And I was sitting at a table with this guy and this girl, and both of which were fully Caucasian. And the guy is like, do you like your hair when it's straight? So I said, like, yeah, I mean, like I guess. And he was like, well, do you like it better when it's straight versus when it's like you're curly or you're like whatever? And I was like, like, I mean, it's like a little easier maybe, but I don't like one more than the other really. I mean, technically I like my natural more. And he was like, oh, okay, well I like your hair straight better. And I was like, oh,
That is
The range I feel right now.
and the thing is too, what was so disappointing about that moment was that he didn't even realize how much what he just said impacted me and how it was just like, I guess, offensive.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing I can do about my hair being curly.
Mm-hmm.
I can straighten it, but that doesn't change the fact that it's still curly. Like, if I need to wash it, it's curly. It's always going to be curly.
Yeah.
And so I did in that moment. I was so hurt, but I was like, I'm not gonna like shut down. And I was like, that's actually like you shouldn't really say that. And I was like, what do you mean? And because the girl next to me was like, she made a face because she knew, she was aware enough to know what he said was wrong.
Yeah.
And she was like helping me explain to him like, well, like my hair is naturally curly. Like, you can't say something like that. You can't say that.
Yeah, he
because
almost
it's
viewed it
just-
as like two equal options.
right.
As if you can just go between like having naturally straight hair
Yeah.
and naturally curly hair. Like that's not.
I just don't even like the setup of I'm gonna ask you what you like just so I can tell you like, dude, who asked you?
Yeah, that's so
what are you
true.
doing?
Yeah, that's weird.
And you're a guy, like get out of here with that nonsense.
Yeah,
With
no
his
cares.
fully straight hair, man.
Yeah.
And so
Oh my
I remember
God.
going home that day and just being like, oh, like I just want to get this moment out of my head, like, because it was still sitting with me, and I just felt so heavy.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, kids can be cruel. During literally like one of the most vulnerable moments of your life in high school is when people are like,
Yeah.
it's the cruelest.
Yeah. So I will agree with you. Sometimes it goes in waves for me. Like there's been times recently, even I'll wake up and I'm just like,
Can't do this today.
oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah.
So it was a little over a year now. When I went into my freshman year in university, I wore my hair natural, like majority. I straightened it like twice, but like majority was natural. And it was long because it was dead. half of the bottom was just like the loosest wave that I just needed to scrunch to get that curl. It was dead, but it was long. So I would wear my hairstyles. I'd like do it back with like a ponytail, and the ponytail would be like down here. I never wore my hair all the way out my freshman year, but I would do different hairstyles, and it was long. But I realized that it was dead, and I wanted it to grow more. So I booked an appointment in January, so this was still over winter break, and I got my hair cut, and it was cut. It was chopped. There was hair on the floor that I didn't expect to be that much on the floor, and it was a good like maybe 3 inches,
Okay.
which is a lot.
Yeah.
So
hear
when
that.
I finished and like it felt cute. It was very defined, but it was not right. It was one of those things where it's like it can be cute because like you're on break and I'm with my family, so I feel comfortable. I can like be in any state with them with my hair, and I just like they're my family. They love me and I love them, so I'm comfortable. But it was towards the end of break, knowing that I was going to be back at school in a few days, and feeling like confident with wearing my natural hair, and like I got people that would literally walk up to me like on campus in the dining hall, oh my gosh, your hair is so pretty. Like, not even just about my appearance, but like your hair specifically. And so I grew confident more with my natural hair, that when I got that like big chop almost, I was terrified to go back to school because it was like, it was not how it was before. So, you know, putting it in a ponytail and having it be like this little short thing, it was just not what I was used to. I didn't feel as feminine, I didn't feel as pretty. And so I was terrified, and I literally like, I was crying in my closet, just like hyperventilating.
She laughs.
I know, right? Because it's so real. But I was bawling my eyes out. Like, I felt just so incredibly low. And then there's that like balance where I don't want to put heat on it because I want it to grow. But then it's short, and I don't feel confident with my hair, with my natural hair short.
Interesting. Now, what is short to you?
Like by my shoulders.
Really?
Yeah.
That's short.
Yeah.
So, do you think that it like changes your overall look?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. And I like, she has her hair like this. And
and it looks beautiful.
Love it. I remember when I was in my gap year, she went to like lunch with a friend. I specifically remember, and you were wearing, I think, something pink. I don't know if it was your skirt.
That was okay. I know what you're talking about.
And she had her hair like this, but she did twist, but she had taken them out. And I just was like, oh my gosh, she looks so pretty. I love it. And she like didn't really have on any makeup, and I just loved it. I think it looks so flattering on her. But I don't like the way that it looks on me at all. So I was going through it because I had done this. I would do this hairstyle, or sometimes just have it like completely out, not have it in twist to school. But it was like this. Like, it would literally sit here. And so it sitting here after
was traumatic.
Oh.
Yeah. It was a change.
Yeah, that is a change.
Yeah.
It's funny that because I think I've had that feeling as well with the whole length. Like, sometimes I try to ask myself, like, what is the big deal with like long versus short? And I think you mentioned something about like, it makes you feel more feminine. You know, we watch all these Disney movies with Rapunzel, and it's out the window and all this stuff, and it's horrible. But like, if I can look at short hair on somebody else and it look beautiful, the odds that I'm like an ogre with it, probably not likely. And it's just fun. But we all are on our own journeys, and I feel like I look at our natural hair journey as almost like an onion, where we might be able to do this, and then maybe a couple years we'll do that. So in maybe 20 years or so, you might be coming in here with like a pixie cut, like, I love it. You never know. But like, we all have to come to grips with stuff at different times. So if short hair is not there for you, then hey, it's not there for you. But I do think that you look good with the short hair for what it is worth. And you said that you're kind of more of like a, comes in waves, but nothing super crazy traumatic.
Like, even when they were talking, I was like thinking for a quick second. I can't even think, unless you guys like would know. I can't even think of something where.
Well, the only thing I would think, no, not like, it's not in terms of like curly. Really, it was just like that one time when you were getting your hair colored. That is still a hair experience, but it's not necessarily like a curly hair.
Yeah, basically I went into a salon. I just wanted some cute highlights for my senior year. Also, I think it was like picture day on like the first day or something, which like never happens, but that's besides the point. I basically came out with orange hair. Like fully, like this guy just like
not even like highlights.
Oh no, like I could even I could pull up a picture for you after. Like literally orange. Like, and I think my mom and her came to like pick me up, and I remember I think I was like walking in front of them, and they were just like, they told me after, they were just like, oh my god, like it looked like it looked terrible. But so and then the next day, or I think it was maybe 2 days, I got it like re-dyed. So, but basically, I mean, I don't think that was my lowest, but it was basically my hair was damaged.
That's what I was gonna say. That it made it difficult for your natural hair to grow.
It was just like, I kid you not, up to here for like.
And straight that
a year, because I had to just keep cutting and let the color like grow out. That was not necessarily a low moment, but it made it difficult because I just felt even more disconnected from my hair because I just fully lost my curl pattern. It was just like so dead, so straight, so damaged. But generally, I just feel like I do go through waves though, where sometimes, like, I feel like last summer, like 2023, I was like thriving. I was doing my slick backs. I was tan. I felt good.
Yes.
I did braids for the first time when we were in Jamaica,
Courtesy
which was
of
like,
me.
yeah, which
Oh.
was really cool.
That was really
But yeah, but I think it's just like some days I'm just like, it really, it's hard when it defines me to the point where I just don't feel pretty. I think that's what I've been struggling with. I think especially, not to bring it back to like a relationship, but I think it's kind of hard too, because I know that my boyfriend loves me no matter what, but it's still like I just want to feel good, and when I don't feel good around you or other people, then I just want to like close up in a shell. So yeah.
On that same point, not to completely try to expose your dating lives, but have you had any like major dunking moments as well, or how has your natural hair shown up in your dating life, if at all?
For me, it's still somewhat sensitive.
Okay.
So I've been with my boyfriend for 7 months now.
Oh, cool.
Do you know anything about my boyfriend?
I don't.
Oh.
But now I'm like, should I? Should I be asking Marco more? Like, can I get out of his life, please?
So he's fully Caucasian.
Okay.
And obviously I've been more comfortable with my hair, but it's still definitely very sensitive to me, and it'll define like whether or not like I think I'm pretty one day.
Yeah.
But I started hanging out with him in the summer, and that's when my hair was in braids. And then I got my hair highlighted, like blonde highlights, and I like loved it. And that was the first time he saw me with my natural hair, because we hadn't seen each other for a couple of years since high school, because we knew each other in high school. And for those last 2 years in high school, my hair was straight. So he literally hadn't seen my hair curly for like, he probably didn't even ever like remember seeing my hair curly.
Yeah.
So I don't know. He's very supportive. He likes my natural hair the best because it's me. Obviously he likes when I do my other hairstyles too, but I still think it's still a sensitive topic for me, so I'm just not, I'm still not there where I'm like comfortable, like, oh, let's whip out the bonnet and
oh my gosh.
Whip out the bonnet.
It's really, it's like during the day everything is cute and chill, and I'll have my hair out, and then it's really just like if he ever stays over the house or if I stay over at his house, it's like the going to bed process.
Yeah.
That is vulnerable.
It is.
Oh my gosh.
It is. It's like, do I destroy my hair by not putting it in a bonnet? Or do I just walk in here like Mrs. Doubtfire and lay it out? It's a tough gamble. And so it's a very uncomfortable, delicate area that we don't like to explore, but then once you've actually explored it, you just feel like, okay, like you've been hiding something, and now you can just be like, I don't have to hide it anymore. Like you feel a lot more at ease. I remember talking to a friend one time, and we were like, what would you do like when you're married? And I remember her telling me that she was wearing wigs, and she said, I would never let my husband see my hair like without a wig. And just the thought of like, you're gonna do life with an individual, you never know what could happen. You guys could get sick, you could have cancer, but like, heaven forbid if they were to see your real hair, like how deeply it is attached to us and our well-being is wild. That's why I get so crazy when people are like, it's just hair. I'm like, it's not just hair. It's never been just hair. Like, it's such a big issue. But anyways, on a more brighter note, what would you say is one of your highest moments or one of your fondest memories when you have felt the best with your natural hair, where you're like, I'm here, I'm Beyonce, nobody can tell me anything, like, you just feel amazing?
For me, there's 2 moments.
Okay.
One was when I first got my hair, because I had virgin hair before I got my hair highlighted. It was towards the end of summer. My skin was tan, and I had the contrast with the highlights, and I hadn't seen my hair out styled like that. Because when the woman styled my hair when I got it cut super short, she didn't style it that well. It was really like every single strand was defined, which was like great, but it just made my hair very voluminous, and I don't like volume.
Really?
So, no, I don't.
Wow.
Yeah, me neither.
I like it like flatter. That's always interesting.
Okay. So right now, would you call your hair right now voluminous or more on the flat side?
when I woke up, it was a little bit too voluminous for me, and so this is like flatter.
Oh,
so when it was styled, it was like this, and it was right around my shoulders.
Oh,
but
okay.
when the woman styled my hair, when I got it highlighted, it fell far more. It had more movement, and so I just fell on top of the world against my hair like that. That color, that's in that style.
Yeah.
And that's when I showed my boyfriend. It was like his birthday, so it was like a whole good thing. I was just on a high.
Yeah.
So I loved that, and I got sick of the like upkeep with the blonde.
Sure.
And so I would say that just the second moment was when I first put in the clip-in extension. Got this thing.
Yeah.
And those are my 2 moments.
That's cool. That's cool.
Too. I feel like I'm really bad at recalling things, but the one thing that comes to mind, which it's like part of me is like, it's so great when you have positive things in your relationship to share. I don't want it to like fully take away from me, but whatever. But I will say, I struggled for a while with, even though I had showed my boyfriend my natural hair, I still was like, all right, I'm not to the point where I can just like wake up, it can be out. I wasn't there yet. I was at his apartment. I don't remember when this was. Maybe back in the fall. And I like despise like getting ready at his apartment because I have to do it in his room, and I have to like, I've told him that it doesn't make me comfortable. I'd rather be in the bathroom, but the bathroom situation isn't the best. Anyway, so I was like kind of struggling doing my hair. I'm like crouching down, like looking in the mirror, and I was gonna slick it back, obviously, like duh, that's my like signature look. Like I feel like everyone knows that. And he was like, why don't you just wear it out? Like, just wear it out. He was like, and I also like would hate if he would like, if I was like really quickly trying to do it and like wet my hair when it's out, and he would like come over and touch it, but he like was touching it, just like made me like look at him. And he was like, just wear it out. Like I love your hair out. And I was just, it just made me feel so good. Because it's such a weird thing where internally I'm like, there's no way that you could love me when I look like this. Like there's no way if I don't feel beautiful and pretty. But just like in that moment, it like, I think I still slicked it back, but it just made me feel so like alive and like good and so myself, and just, yes, it was validation, but it was just like him seeing me in a moment that I would just want to hide from like everybody, and he's accepting me. And I don't know, it was, I mean, that probably came to me for a reason, because it was definitely a high in my hair journey. But yeah, and I think too, because he doesn't, I don't think he'll ever be able to understand like what those moments, like showing him my hair for the first time in the pool, that moment telling me to wear my hair out, and how much he loves it, how much he loves my natural hair over anything else, the braids, the straight. It's like, I don't think he'll ever understand what him saying in those moments mean. Because it's just like, it keeps me, well, it helps me keep overcoming those like moments where I'm just struggling. So
I mean, it's really seeing you, like the real version of you. So, and we, all of us in all different areas, not even just hair, struggle with this constant fear in life of, if I expose my real self to people, they won't accept it. And so I can totally understand how that could make you feel amazing. So that's awesome. Oh, I really like this guy that I've never met. This is awesome. Okay. What about for you?
My senior year of high school, I started to actually wear my hair out, like fully out, and define it. And I wasn't the best at defining it, but you know, it was something. It was cute. And it was a step in the right direction. And I was doing certain things that would give me a little more confidence. So I would do like a little bit of like braid, and then have the rest out, or like a couple like, you know, those like little tiny elastics, like I do like that. So there was a little more to it. It wasn't just like out. So that helped me feel a little more confident. And I remember the first day that I did that, I probably got 5, 6 different people saying, oh my gosh, Elena, your hair.
Oh.
It's so pretty. Like, you need to wear it more like that. And there's this one girl in particular, she would always say, anytime I have my hair curly, whether it was like fully out or like this, she was like, oh, like just wear your hair like that more, please. Like, I love it like that, because I would straighten it a lot.
Yeah.
So that was a really nice day for me. That felt really, really good. But it's hard because obviously if you're not really believing it yourself, no matter how much other people are saying these things to you, it's sometimes hard.
Yeah, it's a struggle. What would you say are some things that, because it is like a roller coaster ride, what are some things that you try to do if you try to do anything on a daily basis to, I guess, try to keep like a positive mindset about it, or even what do you do when you feel like you are having one of those low moments? How do you kind of pull yourself out of that?
I do something that's a little similar to what you had mentioned. So I rarely ever use Snapchat. I typically like log out. Sometimes I have to log back in because like students in my class are trying to like Snapchat me about an assignment. But I don't do Instagram. I don't do TikTok.
Okay.
So, but I have Pinterest. And I created a Pinterest board that's all focused on mixed girl femininity because that's like my biggest thing. And so I'll save pictures, and of course like maybe these girls are just like a lighter complected but fully dark skinned, like both have black parents, whatever, but people who look like me. And so I will, like in my free time, I'll just go through and save photos of girls with their hair out, curly, natural, and I just think that they look beautiful, and I'll save it to this board. And there's sometimes where like I'm spiraling and I'm like, I hate the way that my hair looks, it's not making me feel good, and I will literally go to that board and scroll, and it sounds almost like ridiculous, like really, but it's actually helped me where I'm like, and they look pretty. And their hair is more full and more voluminous, or maybe tighter curls than mine, and I still saved it, and I thought that they looked so pretty.
Yeah.
That's what I do typically.
It's cool. Do you want me to go?
Sure.
For me, I'd say what I find to be really helpful is, and I feel like a lot of the time when I wake up in the morning is when I'm hit with that like because I move around a lot in my sleep too.
Oh no.
So so if I had my hair in like Dutch braids and I'm trying to preserve that to the next day, sometimes it doesn't stay because of all the movement. So I'll like look in the mirror and be like, Sometimes I literally just want to like curl up and just not move, but I'll force myself into the shower, get my hair wet, and I'll do something, whether that's literally just like a simple just singular braid in the back of my hair, or if I'm doing a twist out, I just do something to still like get my hands on my hair and just, I don't know, just maintain it in some kind of way.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the longer that I sit with it and just keep looking at it and knowing that it's not what I'm wanting in that moment, it just gets worse and worse, and it just builds up. So forcing myself out of that, it just gets me to a state of like happiness and content faster, and
I mean, even just this past week, I was like really going through it. I think because, so I turn 22 soon, and my ID is gonna expire, so I need to take a new ID picture.
Yeah.
And I was like trying to do this hairstyle because I'm trying to figure out, all right, am I gonna make my curly hair work? Like, what am I gonna do for the picture? Which to most people might sound like whatever, but for me, with someone who struggles with my hair and like how I look, it's kind of been like a thing. Something that's looming.
Yeah.
And I think it was maybe on like Wednesday, I was like trying to do something with it, and it just wasn't working, and I just like sat on the floor and I just like cried for a second. But I think it's just like genuinely like sitting with it metaphorically and literally because no, it's not just hair, because there's so much depth and meaning behind it, but also I do kind of remind myself that it is just hair. Like, this is not who I am. This is like, it's not about this, like the external. So I think truly it's like, okay, this, and after that I kind of just like walked away. I was like, I'm not going to put more time and energy into this that's like kind of draining me. So it's just like sitting with it, but also like reminding myself, all right, this is not end all be all, like nothing bad is gonna happen. Like, yes, it's frustrating, but it's also like, it's not brushing it off to the point where I'm ignoring it and it's still like weighing on me, but brushing it off and like I'm not thinking about this negatively. Like, yes, it's in that moment, it was like frustrating because I'm like, what am I gonna do for my picture? But I don't know, just like walk away.
Yeah.
And also like remember for me, I'm more than my hair, and like whatever, like this is not a big deal, and you know, like Alina said, I'm beautiful in my heart, so this is not like, this doesn't define who I am, so.
Yeah.
I'd say,
Another thing is too, what our dad will say a lot of the time is, at least you have. And honestly, like,
at least you have what?
Like, just, he'll say, like, at least you have. So if you're complaining about, like, like, I wish I had, like, I don't know.
Clothes.
Yeah, clothes. He's like, at least you have clothes, like, period. Because there are people that would kill to have that pair of jeans that you're wearing, but you're complaining about, I don't know, not having another pair of jeans.
Yeah.
So, for me, sometimes I'll just, like, okay, yes, in this moment in time, it's not feeling the best, it's not as defined as I'd like for it to be, but I have hair. And there are people that would love to have their own hair, that maybe they have alopecia and they can't.
Yeah.
So just being grateful for what you have, because you have it.
Yeah.
And
so
we
true.
have found ways to maintain our hair. So it's actually remembering, like, you have it, you just have to set some time aside, although it's a little frustrating, set some time aside and deal with it.
Yeah.
And I think with that, almost just to add, I think it is frustrating, and that's validated for us and whoever like has hair like this, or others that like struggle with whatever their hair texture is. I think maybe it's more specifically, well, no. I think just in general, it's also sometimes remembering that, yes, like this state might be annoying sometimes, but also, which I think is something that my mom's kind of reminded me sometimes, is that, which I think has part to do with like our identity, but we can do this, we can straighten it, we can do braids. Like, it's almost like a superpower at the end of the day. Like,
the versatility.
yes. And that is, like, yeah, I could go book something for braids. Somebody that is maybe lighter complexion, straight hair, they like physically like can't do that with their hair sometimes.
Right.
So I think that is like, yeah, it's being grateful for what you have, and also being grateful for the fact that like you said, it's so versatile and I could kind of do whatever I want, where some people can't. So
so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. It's so funny because whenever you have something, you don't see all the benefits of it. And I've been doing so many random things with my hair recently. And then the other day, Taylor, one of my coworkers here, was like, "You just can do so much stuff. Like, it's always different." I'm like, yeah, I can do so much stuff. Like, it's just funny. We never really fully get the full picture of what we have. How important, or like, what role do you think that mindset just plays in all of this?
Massive, I'd say.
Yeah.
Massive.
I mean, yeah, it's literally everything, because like in that moment in the mirror earlier this week, I was struggling, but then I could kind of flip a switch and have like all right, this isn't everything. Or like, you know what, on another day where I wake up and I'm not feeling it, like, okay, who cares? Or like, okay, this is beautiful, so what if I don't feel it in here? Like, sometimes I do think I kind of lean into like fake it till you make it, because sometimes that's all you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just like, yeah.
And then also with mindset, like, learning to not care about those outside opinions, and just remember, like, it's who you are and it's your hair. And if someone is looking at you, like, I remember when I was visiting Ainsley at school, I had my hair out, and I'm not gonna lie, there was very little definition. Because I was tired that day, I was in my pajamas, I just like wanted to be comfortable. And I remember walking into this cafe that's like downstairs near her apartment or something like that. And there were a couple of people that like turned, and like I got a couple like weird looks, and I was just like, I just remember like saying names and like, I'm getting looks right now. But I was just like laughing about it, because I was like, I don't really care. Like, of course I don't want people to like look at me and think like I'm super unkempt per se, so I'm not going to be wearing like a bunch of stained clothes. But it's my hair, so if someone's judging me based on my hair, that's their problem.
Yeah. So true. Yeah. So true. Makes so much sense, but it's so hard to actually live out every single day.
Right.
But it's so true. Last question that I'll ask you is, if you had to speak to your younger self, or yourself that struggled the most with hair that maybe didn't have some of the insights that you have today,
Mm-hmm.
what would you advise that younger version of you? Another way that I could ask it is if you were to be blessed with a daughter one day, if you want to have children,
Oh
and
gosh, that.
she goes through the same things as you do,
Mhm.
what would you tell her?
Here are the best products to use. Yes. Honestly, products
Yeah.
would be one of the things.
Yeah.
For me, just encouraging her, and I think not even necessarily like saying to her, here's what you should do, but if she's having one of those days, literally just letting her rant about it to me. So I don't know if my dad told you about this saying, just sit in the mud with her. Just sit in the mud with the person, just listen to what they're going through, because being able to get your feelings out,
Yeah.
not necessarily getting something back like, okay, like here's what you should do about this, but just being able to say what you're feeling can help lift so much of that just weight off of your shoulders and just make you feel so much better. So honestly, listening. I don't know, do you guys want to?
I would say, I feel like if we're talking about younger versions of ourselves, especially like when we were struggling the most, I would say I wasn't quite aware of the potential of my hair and how I could get it to be something that I did like, because we went and we ended up getting keratin treatments, which I might do again, but completely differently. Because we got keratin treatments to like get rid of the curl.
Yeah.
We didn't want the curl anymore, and so we got the whatever the max amount is, where you do it for like the longest amount of time. That straightener is going up and down, many passes to lock it in. So it's like it gets rid of the curl.
Yeah.
Because that's how I thought that I could wear my hair when it's natural. So I wash it and be like almost straight, and like I would feel like the best. But not knowing that I could still, because this, how my hair is right now, if you told my like freshman year in high school self that it could look like this, I would be shocked. Because this was like all we had ever wanted. We just wanted hair that was flatter, but we could still wear it natural, and it had like, I mean, of course this isn't all my hair, but and it had length and stuff like that. So I just had always assumed that like for me to feel like feminine and pretty with my natural hair, it was almost like impossible when I got to like the harder parts dealing with my natural hair, because I obviously didn't think that way like when I was in 8th grade and my freshman year in high school. So I think understanding that there's ways to do your hair that can still make you feel pretty and that are still pretty, and just working with that. And I think too, sometimes, I don't know what your perspective is on this, but there are times where I do just want my hair straightened. I just want to get a blowout, last for a week, and then I'm back to curly. And I think I got to the point where I was so anti-straightening my hair because I thought it meant like, because that's how it did mean for us, that like we didn't like our hair. So that's kind of what it, straightening our hair and tied in with, that we didn't like our hair, and that's how it was towards the end of our high school career. So I started feeling guilty for ever wanting to like straighten my hair. So I think knowing that, I would tell my younger self that there's ways to wear your natural hair that you would like, that you can feel feminine and pretty, and that looks nice, just by doing different techniques, certain products, looking at, you know, hair extensions if you really want for like a longer look. But then knowing that if you straighten your hair just so that it's manageable and easy for a week, that's okay. But then, you know, going back and predominantly wearing your hair natural, like there's ways to do that. Because I just always saw it as so black and white. Like either it's frizzy and fuzzy and ugly, or it's pretty and long and straight and attractive. So it was like, but now
There's
like
more to it.
I think I obviously have my bad days, but I view this as kind of what I used to view the straight hair, if that makes sense. So it's not as big as a contrast when I go and get a blowout for a little bit. It's not that like grave difference, because it became a huge difference for us. It was either like this one side of the spectrum, which is our natural hair, that was just negative, or this amazing thing.
That's interesting.
So trying to like pull that back in.
I feel like what you mentioned about the straightening your hair, sometimes it seems like if you do anything that's not natural, it's like you're now out of the natural hair community. I feel like there's a difference between what you mentioned of, I want to straighten my hair this week because I feel like straightening my hair and I want to wear that, versus I would never be caught dead leaving the house. Like, you know what I mean? Like, one of them is it's a choice because I want to. It's part of my versatility, versus I can't do anything but this because I don't like my natural hair. I don't think that's a healthy place to live your life, but I don't think that we should lock people into cages where they're not allowed to express themselves in different ways. Yeah.
Yes. I've been struggling with this because I think you both hit points that I would say. I think both for my younger self and if I had a daughter, because I think about that a lot because my boyfriend is also half Jamaican and like he's basically the same as us, which
look
is
at you!
Yeah, I know.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But it's honestly, as I get older and as I think about a family and especially daughters, it's definitely on my mind a lot. Like it just is. Especially when I struggle with it because it makes me sad that I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I doing to my daughter? Which I don't want to go there. But I think both for my younger self and for a daughter, daughters or whatever, I know it's easier said than done, but it's just finding a way to like harvest that confidence and sort of that ignorance when you're younger, where it's just like we talked about when we were younger, like even though I would do more product this time around. No offense to our parents. But it's just like, it's keeping that confidence and that uniqueness and individuality alive to the point where, like, I hope we're still going in the direction of, like, the beauty standard changing and being more accepting. And I think that we're in a pretty good place. But I think that I wouldn't focus on just the hair, but just reminding them that, like, you're special, this is beautiful, like, you are beautiful, you're more than your hair, but this is so cool, and oh my gosh, and let me help you, and it's just, I think, making that conversation a little bit more open. Not that we couldn't between ourselves and between our parents, but I think it just was never said, and so I kind of felt sometimes maybe a little bit more like, okay, I can figure this out on my own, and so I felt a little bit alone, even though we're all going through it. It's still like, you know, you are an individual at the end of the day.
Yes.
But yeah, I think for my younger self, it would just keep reminding myself that, like, you're more than your hair. Easier said than done, but and for a daughter, just reminding them that truly, like, you're beautiful externally but also internally, and just to put out the best energy and keep faking it till you make it. And
That's good.
That's what I'd say.
I like that. That's awesome. It's funny, sometimes it feels like it's easier to craft supportive messages to someone else than to ourselves. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
It's kind of like I hear people say things like, oh, like when my kid's in the car, that's when I drive safe. Like, oh, when the kid's not in the car, that's when you're like willing to risk your life.
Totally.
But putting things into that perspective, it's like, well, if I could say that to my child, if I could say that to my younger self, like, why can't I say that to myself right now? So it's the same message, but I think that's all really, really good stuff. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for taking some time out here to speak with me. I learned so much. That was really, really, really cool. Can't wait for your dad to watch it and hear. I feel like he's gonna cry. I have a feeling. But we'll see. I don't know. But yeah, thank you so much, and I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. I think that it was very good, but I'm biased. And yeah, make sure to only say nice things in the comment section, because if you don't, I will absolutely block you because I'm ruthless, and that's how we do things here. So, all right, that is it for today, and until next time, guys, take care of yourself.
Bye.